Hey guys, it is the Nerdy Movie Guy. So today we're going to talk about Star Wars The Bad Batch Season 3, Episode 9. So really we only have so little episodes left of the season. We're in the last third and just about. And so there's a lot of interesting stuff coming up that we've seen in the trailer that hasn't happened yet. And there's a lot of interesting stuff that happened in this episode as well. So on this episode, or in this episode, our core characters are all on Pabu. So we don't really go off the planet, which is pretty interesting because there's really no Empire presence in this episode. So this sort of kind of gives our main characters their own thing. And in this episode, we get to see the return of our fan favorite Sith, Jedi, Night Sister, Bounty Hunter, you name it. Ventress is back. Now, I'm hearing a lot of people online debating whether or not this really breaks canon or not, or messes with the book Dark Disciple. One thing I think, as fans, we need to understand is the Night Sisters are already a big mess in Star Wars canon anyway. During Clone Wars, Ventress was supposed to be the last Night Sister. Then when we had Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order came out, Merrin was the last Night Sister. And then when we got to Star Wars The Bad Batch, Morgan Elsbeth is the last Night Sister. And then we get to Star Wars series Ahsoka. Thrawn has now 3 Night Sister allies. And now in The Bad Batch, Ventress is now again the first, not last, Night Sister. So we keep getting more and more Night Sister characters. So as far as Dark Disciple is concerned, yes, it really did detail out Ventress being dead. But I think there's a lot of room and potential for her return. I think there's a lot of interesting, a lot of potential for what she could do. For example, if she shows up with Cal Kestis in one of his games, that could be pretty neat. I have the dog stuffing on my feet. Will you come up here? So we have Ventress could show up with Cal Kestis in one of his games. We also have the opportunity for if Kenobi got a season 2. Ventress would be a great character to interact with Kenobi live action, especially going after the Empire or especially going after Maul. She could also be in Ahsoka season 2 if she's meant to last that long in the franchise, which originally she was. So you guys can look up and confirm what I've looked up. But Dave Filoni had mentioned in one of his interviews on his sort of anime style show Star Wars Resistance that takes place, I think season 2 takes place between, I think it was either right before Last Jedi or right before Rise of Skywalker, but it is in the sequel era. And Dave Filoni had brought Nika Futterman, the voice actress for Ventress, and she ultimately played a separate character, but she was originally going to play Ventress that took place in the Sith Temple, and she was going to face off with Kylo Ren in this episode. So that ultimately did not happen. So the fact that Dave Filoni has reached out to the actress before, bringing her back, it seems that her return was always inevitable. The book, we don't know if this was heavily... we know the book, Dark Disciple, was based off of the Clone Wars episodes. But at the time of the book's release, we don't have confirmation of whether or not Dave Filoni had discussed or was allowed to bring back Ventress in a video game or TV show or movie. So that could have been, even though she was supposed to die in Clone Wars, we don't know if he always wanted her to survive or not. We don't know if the Dark Disciple death she had was just quickly written in, much like Savage Opress's death, much like Fives' death, much like Ahsoka being written out. There's so many pieces to the Clone Wars that wasn't in the original scripts, but Disney ended up sort of forcing him to change things. So regardless, Ventress is back in The Bad Batch, and in this episode, we get to see her interact with the crew and Omega. So her role with Omega is interesting because she's not really choosing a side against Pabu or against the clones or against anyone in general. She seems more alarmed that there are clone troopers looking for M-count information. And when Ventress discovers this is Omega, she sort of has a soft spot for Omega. She's giving the clones a hard time, but not her. She's not giving Omega a hard time. And she's sort of taken this mentorship role, as if she was preparing for Omega to maybe leave with her. She could be trained. That ultimately did not happen in this episode, but what we get to see is the clones are now realizing the scope of the Empire. First of all, they realize their target. Second of all, they're looking for Omega for M count. Now they're looking for her. Now they know what an M count is, so now they have a whole new reason for why the Empire's going after her. So the clones, everything just keeps getting worse for them in terms of their efforts to protect Omega. It just seems inevitable. The Empire is going to end up catching up to them at some point in the season. I hope not, but it seems very, very likely. And so we don't know if Ventress will have a later role in further episodes or not. We don't know if she could return and join them in their assault on Tantus or not. It's definitely a possibility, I would say, because she sort of has this understood respect for the clones in terms of they were both, as Ventress puts, the clones and Ventress were both pawns in the Clone Wars. And really they were. Clones, they had their loyalty to the Jedi, but ultimately they were used to destroy the Jedi. And because of the arc with Fives in Season 6, it wasn't the clones' choice to portray the Jedi generals as the movies sort of made us believe. Which I know there's been a few books, canon and not canon, that have sort of described what Order 66 was supposed to be or could have been. There's a lot of different information on that, but the canon version, there were chips in their heads and influence of clones. That's where they shot the Jedi. So, there you have it. So, Ventress not only gets to build trust with the clones, where they may reach out to her again, but she sort of builds trust with Omega. And through this whole time, she's giving them the realization that Omega's fate will ultimately be leaving the Bad Batch. She has a much truer story that could be explored in later projects, and it's not going to involve hanging around the clones forever. If she's going to train at all, well, she has the potential. She's just not a natural at it, unlike so many core characters we've seen already. So if Omega's going to train, looks like she's not going to be a Mary Sue. Looks like she's going to actually have to put in hard work for it. And I hope we get a really great character to train her if that time comes. Ventress would be a very neat option. If not, maybe Cal Kestis. Maybe someone who isn't affiliated with the movies. I don't think Luke, or especially at this point, Obi-Wan, would be great options. I think it will definitely be interesting to see someone like Ventress or Cal Kestis take on that role. So, however, at the end of this episode, honestly, grand scheme of things, not a lot happened. It's the interactions between Ventress and the crew that we get. And as we've seen, the clones have been warned that the Empire will stop at nothing to search for Omega, and now they understand why. But now they have a couple of allies, maybe Fennec, probably Ventress, that could help them in the future. So regardless, it was a really cool episode. It was great to see Ventress. It was good to see that she couldn't just be beaten by clones. When she beat them up without their weapons, I think that was sort of a nod to Star Wars The Clone Wars Season 5, when Ahsoka begged Ventress, hey, we have to fight the clones, but let's not kill them. And Ventress just beat the crap out of them anyway. And she sort of did the same thing here with these, enhanced clones. And when she calms the beast in this episode, part of Omega's training is, a lot of people are connecting Dark Disciple to this, saying in Dark Disciple, Quinlan Vos was trained to use the dark side to kill the beast on Dathomir. In this episode, Ventress uses the light side to calm the beast. So the parallels are there. It's really neat. And it looks like a great direction for Ventress. We're excited for her future. I really do hope she's put in multiple projects. She's always been a fan favorite. I can't think of one Clone Wars fan that I've spoken to that didn't like Ventress. She's just got so much character development over the years, and she has so many skills and knowledge that she would just be... She has the potential to sort of be interwoven into so many different TV shows or video games that they have right now. So I think there's a lot of opportunity. Because she's sort of still probably kind of a bounty hunter, we just got a trailer for Star Wars Outlaws recently. Ventress could be in that. So maybe just a cameo, but still. Because Crimson Dawn is seen in Star Wars Outlaws. Crimson Dawn being connected to Maul, maybe Ventress is going after Crimson Dawn as part of a side story, off-screen thing in the games. But, you know, we'll see. We'll find out. I think the future looks great for these characters. We finally got some answers, character development for everyone all around. And I think it's going to be really cool to see where it goes from here. Not only just the story, the connections between all the characters, and the character story themselves. So it was another great episode. I look forward to watching the next one, reviewing the next one. Thank you guys so much for watching.